Welcome to She Leads Boldly, the podcast for faith-driven women navigating high-stakes leadership without compromising what matters most. I am Sharika Sanders, your host, mentor, and kingdom business leader. Here, we embrace bold leadership rooted in purpose, not pressure. This space is for the woman who refuses to choose between faith and ambition, family and fulfillment, impact and rest. Each week, you'll hear powerful conversations, practical strategies, and spirit-led wisdom to help you advocate for yourself, lead with integrity, and rise without burnout. If you're ready to lead boldly, live faithfully, and never settle for less than what God has promised, you're in the right place. Okay, so today's episode is for the woman that's balancing faith, family, and leadership without losing herself, which I know it's all of us. But I just want us to be really intentional. I feel like I say that a lot. And I think that's, if I had to pick a word for the year, it would be intentional, because that's what I'm really trying to be about so many things and in so many ways. But I want to talk about your career, your calling, and how do you really know it's time to move forward in that next thing, whether it's going for a promotion, whether it's leaving corporate altogether, whether it's purchasing a new home, whatever that big life decision is. How do we know that? And one thing I'll say, a verse that sticks with me, well, actually, it is a verse, but the way I always say it is just a prayer of mine has always been, Lord, let the desires of my heart be within your will. And so sometimes when I'm questioning if what I'm doing is of God, or is this desire really God? I want this grand thing. Would God really want me to want that? Absolutely. Absolutely, he does. And I know that he does, because when I start to have those moments of confusion, which God is not the author of confusion, when I start to have those moments and I need clarity, that always comes to mind. Didn't you ask God to make sure that the desires of your heart are within his will? And so if you're desiring it, why are you questioning? Because then you're now questioning his will, right? And so I have to check myself on that a lot. But today we're going to go over 5 faith-led signs that you will see, that you will come across, that you will experience if you're feeling God is calling you to move forward. And so sometimes we find ourselves at these crossroads. We're sensing a shift towards greater responsibility or a completely different direction in our professional, personal calling. And for me, that was about 3 years ago. So through a series of unfortunate events, which was some unexpected death in the family, I ended up getting sick with COVID. I had some excessive hemorrhaging. If you know, you know. Which was causing me to have dizzy spells and these unexplained pains. And I was gaining weight. And it was just like, I felt like my body was really starting to attack me, like it was turning on me. And I really couldn't understand why. Not to mention, I wasn't happy in my corporate role. And mind you, I'd left a prior role to come to this one, or a prior company, I guess I'll say, to come to the company that I was at the time, because I was feeling a lack of fulfillment and I wasn't happy anymore. And I said, the issue must be with them, not me. And granted, there were definitely some things that were going on there. But if I'm being completely honest, those things had been going on the full 6 years I had been there. And it had finally just gotten to a point where I really believe that God was changing me. And so the things that I was tolerating and dealing with that I really shouldn't have been, he reduced that tolerance and really opened my eyes to see, like, what is this place that you're in? And why are you here? Did I call you to be here? And so I left that company, went to another company, because again, I thought that was the issue. And I started to feel that same sense of unfulfillment. Now I'm like, okay, something's off. Something's really wrong. I'm not really sure what's happening, but I know something needs to change. So I started to fast. Well, first, I was confused because I'm like, well, what is happening? What's going on? Now, granted, it's not like I was doing everything I was supposed to. I wasn't really taking care of me like I should have been, working long hours, day and night. But I'd always done that, right? So in my mind, it was normalized. It was okay. And so I asked God, like, please tell me, what is it that I'm missing? What is it that I'm supposed to be doing that I'm not doing? Like, I don't like this place that I'm in, and I don't know how to get out of it because I know it's something in me. I know it's something about me, but I just don't know what it is. And so I fasted because how else to get more spiritually, I guess I would say, awake or open. I think one of the greatest ways to do that is to fast because you're truly surrendering and truly submitting yourself to God and saying, you know what, I'm letting go of these fleshly things, food or certain types of food. I'm letting go of these fleshly things so that there's no distraction and I can truly hear from you. And so I did the Daniel fast, the 21-day Daniel fast. And when I started the fast, which is something I would suggest and advise everyone to do, if you're going on a fast, as you start or before you start, ask God to show you, to, I guess, show you what it is that you're supposed to learn. What is it that He wants you to get out of this intimate time with Him? If there's a direction that He wants you to go, if there's an action, if there's something He wants you to stop, truly, before you enter any fast, make that request known to God. Don't just say, oh, I'm starting to fast, here I go. Like, make those requests known. Lord, I'm coming to you in this intimate time because I need X, because I need, direction, or I just need to be close to you. I really need to feel your presence. So when I started, I asked God to please tell me what it is I'm supposed to do. What are my next steps? Where do you want me to go? Because in my mind, I thought the answer would be my dream corporate role in the sky. Because if any of you have heard me say it before, I never thought I would be in entrepreneurship. I felt like some people are meant to be in corporate, and I was one of those people. I'm not a risk taker. All of these different things I would say that I am exactly who God called me to be. And trusting God is not a risk. So just side note for those who say you're not a risk taker, if you're a child of God, that's a bet that never fails. So you don't really have to be a risk taker because God has already taken care of all the risk. So anyway, I felt like God would give me the direction, right, to apply for this dream role, something that I normally wouldn't have applied for or wouldn't have been even granted to someone like me. And someone like me, meaning a Black woman who received an accounting degree from DeVry. And if you are of a certain age, you've heard the jokes and things that people say about people who have gone to DeVry. It's like this running joke because it was, always previously known as a tech school. And it was one of the first ones that was really providing online courses. So that seemed taboo and it just doesn't fit the normal traditional 4-year university mold. And so it's always the butt of a lot of people's jokes, or it used to be, especially like different comedians and things like that. And so to say that I had a degree from DeVry and that I've been in accounting for, 15 years, but I'm not a CPA. And again, a Black woman in what has traditionally been known as a white man's world, honestly. And so I knew I already had cards stacked against me. And honestly, in my mind, I, I think that's why I worked the way that I did, because of these so-called cards stacked against me. But I guess that was really me just thinking out of my own power and out of my own will, because if I put it in God's hands, it doesn't matter what my credentials are because He qualifies me, right? Just like He qualifies you. And so in that time, in that place at that time, you didn't really have to tell me, how hard it could be for someone like me, because I didn't need that cosign. I already had enough of the negative thoughts in my own mind. And so again, so I thought God was going to have me apply for this role that ideally a person like me, I'll say, wouldn't receive. But after this fast, I would get it. And I would have this dream role, right, that paid handsomely well and give me all the freedom to do everything that I needed to do and really just show up for my family. A role where I would have an amazing team and never have to question, a work-life balance because I would always be there to, be home to cook dinner for pickup, drop off, any of those things. My God. And I believe God was going to say, just trust me. I got you. That's what I thought was going to happen. Never in a million years did I expect to be here where I am now, an entrepreneur, and honestly, with a successful podcast in a space that I couldn't have even dreamed of it being better than it is, as good as it is. And I'm not even all the way there yet. I barely even knew what podcasts were, honestly. But as I'm speaking these words to you, I'm having a revelation of my own because I realized that God did give me all of those things. He did give me that dream role that pays well, that gives me the freedom to do all of the things that I want to do, show up for my family, for the planned and unplanned, be able to shift things at the drop of a hat, to be there for others. But he did it through entrepreneurship, not through the way that I thought. And let me just stop and say, sometimes we discount ourselves and we discount our blessing because we expect things to show up or look a certain way. And then when they don't, we say, God isn't here. He didn't hear me. He's not answering. And so we go back to that old mold, that old way of thinking, that very thing that we're praying for God to get us out of. Why? Because we're expecting it to look the way that we think, even though we can probably think of 5 different instances where we thought something was going to look one way and God did it in a completely different way. And yet we still show up and say, Lord, I need you to bless me and I need you to make it look like this. So I'm thankful and grateful now as I even speak because God did exactly what he really told me he would do in providing that for me. I just thought it was going to look differently. My God. So anyway, let's get back to these 5 points. So today I'm speaking to you, speaking to that 2022, that older version of me prior to entrepreneurship, to the woman who is trying to align her career or the next step in her career or calling with her faith. And I want to provide you with these 5 signs, guided by faith principles, that it might be time for a promotion or your new path. So number 1, you're consistently striving for excellence and exceeding expectations, which is many of us, right? So when you approach your work or your calling with excellence and unwavering commitment and a desire to serve wholeheartedly, you are demonstrating this readiness for increased responsibility. And this aligns with biblical principle Colossians 3:23, because we're always going to have the word, right? So Colossians 3:23 says, whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters, which we get that confused because a lot of times we're working hard because we're trying to gain the approval of man, of someone in the office, of the person who we think should be our next boss, quote unquote, our next manager. I don't like the word boss, our next manager. And we're doing that for, as the word says, human masters, not for the Lord. Because if we're working for the Lord, we work in peace. We don't succumb to this hustle culture, trying to do all the things, be all the things for everybody, running all over the place, sacrificing your health, your mental and physical for everybody and everything else. So knowing that when we say your unwavering commitment and calling with excellence, that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about answering calls from work at 10 o'clock at night because you want to show dedication. You want to show them that you're the one that they can always count on. Well, you are. But between the hours of 9 and 5, please and thank you. And so this is saying that You're honoring your dedication and your diligence, or your dedication and diligence and your honor to God. It's not just about climbing the corporate ladder, but about using your talents to the fullest of how and who God called you to be. So again, number one, you're consistently striving for excellence and exceeding expectation. And I'm going to combine the word with this as working for the Lord, not human masters. Number two, you're seeking wise counsel and actively developing your gifts. So a sign of readiness for advancement is, number one, a humble spirit. A humble spirit that recognizes the value of seeking guidance from others, knowing that you don't know it all, you don't have all of the answers, particularly from experienced professionals or mentors like myself, thank you, who share your faith, kingdom-minded connections. Proverbs 15:22 states, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. It is okay to not have all the answers. It is okay to ask for help. You are never expected to know all the things. I don't care how long you've been in your particular profession or role. That does not mean you should know everything about all the things. A godly mind is one that is always looking to improve, to increase in wisdom, to increase in discernment, who reads, who studies, who makes plans to better herself. And so you're actively honing in on your skills and talents, acknowledging God and that He's blessed you with these unique abilities to be used for His glory. So number two, again, seeking wise counsel and actively developing your gifts. Help is how I would sum that up. Seek help, ask questions, read, and know that in doing those things, God will guide you to that next step. It may be one step at a time, but trust Him. Number three, you're experiencing a growing sense of discontentment or a pull towards a new purpose. So, while it's important to differentiate between temporary frustration and a deep faith-led prompting. So, meaning if you're really frustrated and you're like, I know God is calling me to leave or to move, to leave this company, to move to a different role because I'm so aggravated and upset and I'm tired of these people. That could just be a temporary frustration, not necessarily a deep faith-led prompting. But that prompting, if it is a prompting, you're going to have a persistent feeling. You're going to know that that current role is no longer aligned with your purpose or that you have more to offer. And so for me, that was when I said that God opened my eyes and I realized, what is this environment that I'm in? The environment didn't change. It had been that way for years, but it was me that God had changed to let me know that I was not in a place that I was supposed to. I was in a place that I shouldn't have been in. It was time for me to move on. I thought it was moving on to a different company, but it wasn't. It was moving on into a completely different space, a shift, so to speak. So you may find yourself dreaming about other possibilities or feeling a divine nudge towards new ventures. And that's where I find myself. And I sought the help of a kingdom advisor to help me navigate my next steps because I wanted to make sure that it really wasn't just me being frustrated with my role and that it really was God calling me to do something else. But because I didn't know what this other side looked like, I didn't really know what entrepreneurship looked like, I did seek help because I wanted to understand, but I wanted to make sure I was intentional about the type of help that I saw and that it was with someone who was kingdom aligned and not just trying to tell me work hard, work all night, hustle, 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 but to really make sure that my relationship with God was first and foremost in all of the advice that they gave me. So please also understand, if God is calling you to something, know that He'll guide you through it. Don't get discouraged because it doesn't look the way you think it should look. Raising my hand here, my own hand. Or because there are struggles or obstacles. Don't assume that God must not have directed you to that thing because it's not all butterflies and roses. Because remember, God does test us. He doesn't tempt, but He does test us. He wants to make sure that we're faithful and able to handle that next place, that next level that He's taken us to. And so again, number 3, you are experiencing a growing sense of discontentment or a pull towards a new purpose. I believe that one was me. That's where I was, and that's what was happening with me, which caused me to move. Number 4, you find your intuition and inner guidance increasingly nudging you forward. So as believers, prayer and listening to the prompting of the Holy Spirit are crucial in our discerning anything, a career shift, a promotion, a relationship, a large purchase, a small purchase, any of those things. And the way that this may show up is through either recurring thoughts or dreams, or you could even hear someone having a conversation and you hear just that one part of the conversation that hits you in your spirit because it's just the part that you needed when you were asking God to clarify something for you. Or you could just have a strong sense of peace about something that may not even make sense. Those are ways that God is going to, again, guide your intuition and lovingly nudge you forward into what He's calling you to. And so our 5th principle, your willingness to embrace new challenges and grow beyond your comfort zone. Now that one is a big one because a lot of times we don't move forward because we're afraid, we're unfamiliar, we don't have it all figured out. We can't relinquish control because we're so used, especially those of us who are leaders. You're so used to having control over different things. When God calls you to do something that tells you to completely take your hands off of it, you say, oh, that can't be God. God wouldn't, He knows me. How many times we said that one? God knows me. That's how we validate our wrong, our disobedience. God knows my heart. Well, and you should know His. Think about the things that you may tell your children that they don't understand right now, but you're telling them and you're trying to help them because you already know what it's like on the other side. And so you're trying to prepare them for something, but they can't see that thing and it doesn't make sense to them, so they don't move forward. That's the exact same thing you do when God tells you to move and you stay still, or He tells you to be still, but you feel like you just have to keep moving. A desire, a promotion, a calling, it often comes with the willingness to take on new responsibilities and explore new areas. And this might involve learning new skills, taking on a new role, or even entering a completely different field. But embracing these challenges with faith and trusting in God's strength can indicate our readiness for the next level. Our saying, Lord, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where you're taking me, but I know it's always going to be for your good. And so because of that, I can trust you. Philippians 4:13 tells us I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Remember that. Keep that verse close to your heart because it will come in handy as you approach the uncomfortable. Knowing that an urging from the Lord will almost always reside in the uncomfortable. Ultimately, determining the right time for a career shift or moving forward in your calling will require reflection, prayer, seeking advice, and always trusting God's plan. So again, 5 signs, faith-led signs, that you will feel when it's time for a promotion, and promotion meaning in your career, in your calling. This can be personal, it can be professional, but in whatever that thing is, make sure you seek God because that is where your direction is going to come from. That's where your instructions will come from. That's where your guidance will come from. And if it requires you to fast, then do that. Getting up a little bit earlier to pray praying a little bit longer, or even adjusting the way that you pray. Do all of those things. And just ultimately know that if you trust in God, He will always, 100% without a doubt, guide you. He will never, ever lead you astray. And so until the next time, my friends.
Hey friend, if this episode stirred something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Make sure you subscribe to She Leads Boldly so you never miss an episode. And let's stay connected. Join our growing community of faith-driven powerhouse women where you'll find real talk, encouragement, and tools to fuel your journey. Oh, and I've created something special just for the bold, faith-driven women like you. An ebook, When You Know His Name. Discover identity, intimacy, and the power of prayer through the names of God. This ebook is designed to equip and encourage you to lead with clarity, courage, and conviction in every space God assigns you to. Available now on Amazon. And if you're ready for deeper clarity, I would love to personally walk with you. I offer a one-on-one session called Your Path to Purpose and Power, and it's to help you break through the overwhelm and realign with what God is actually calling you to in this season. Whether it's burnout, boundaries, or fresh vision, you don't have to figure it out alone. All links are in the show notes. Oh, and one last thing. I would love to hear from you. What questions are you carrying this season? What topics would serve your walk, your work, your womanhood right now? Send me a message or an email because this podcast is for you, and I want every episode to speak directly to where you are. Remember, you don't have to choose between your faith, your family, and the calling on your life. God's grace makes room for it all. So until next time, stay anchored in purpose, covered in grace, and always ready to rise. Talk soon, friend.